So, Jeff, how was your day two
Oh,
of the Arena Open?
my day 2 of the Arena Open was great.
Yeah?
Yeah, it actually couldn't have gone better.
What'd you do?
Well, I played some guitar. I just jammed some 12-bar blues, and I taught my wife how to do that on the ukulele
Oh,
in the key of C.
okay.
Yeah. I watched some Legends of Runeterra, had a big tournament on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So I checked that out.
Cool. Very
I played
cool.
that game here and there. So
Yeah. I know
but
how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of fun to see, what the top level looks like and what the coverage is like.
Yeah.
Just had a great day. How was your day 2 of the Arena Open?
Yeah, my day two of the Arena Open went very well. I got to sleep in, which was really great. And then I just kind of got up, had some coffee. I actually got to get together and play some paper magic over the computer. I used Spell Table for the first time, and I was playing Commander Legends, which was really cool. We did a sealed pool. I didn't win any games, but I had a lot of fun with that. And then watched a little football in the evening, and it was just a good day.
That
really
sounds
nice.
great.
Yeah.
It's lucky our day ones went well enough. For us
Yeah,
to,
our day ones went so well. We had just an amazing day two.
Yeah, just the best.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Arena Regulars episode 10. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we are regulars on MTG Arena.
Yeah.
We're just regular guys, regular people,
Regular folk
regular dudes,
who regularly show up to
and
their regular old bar.
talk about our regular old game we've played forever.
Yeah, that's
And,
true.
Yeah, it really feels like I've played it forever. I tried to quit this game many times, and I
it
have
doesn't
not
work.
been
It's
successful.
not possible, actually.
Nope. But anyway, we have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about last weekend's Arena Open, and then we have some Gruul historic decks for you.
Yeah.
They're not really Christmas. That's what I was going to say. I kind of paused because I was going to say Christmas decks, but they're not really Christmas
just red
decks.
and green.
It's just red and green.
Yep.
And that's where we're doing it. But before we get into that, each week we both bring a beer, we drink our own, then we drink each other's, then we rate them on a scale of bronze to mythic and choose the best for last. So with that, Jeff, what's on tap?
So we're doing this daily challenge where every day we answer a
An
question.
Instagram challenge.
Yeah. Right. Where every day we answer a question about, our favorite color, our favorite, creature type.
Yeah, in Magic. They're all Magic related.
Right.
Yeah.
Color and
not
Magic,
just
yeah.
color in general.
Orange.
Purple.
Clearly the best color. Yeah, and the one that came up a few days ago was favorite beer style. So when I was thinking about this, I realized my favorite beer style is Russian Imperial Stout, and I put that down. But then I realized I haven't actually done one of those on the show. I haven't brought a Russian Imperial Stout. So today I brought a Russian Imperial Stout. It's
which
by
one?
Wellington Brewery.
Okay.
And you're going to really appreciate this because it's called Russian Imperial Stout.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Classic Zach.
Exactly. Pull a page out of your book and bring a beer that's just called what it is. It's 8%. The can is just kind of a red can, and it has Wellington Brewery has like a boot as its logo, and that's on all their cans. And what did you bring?
I brought in lieu of our in quotations Christmas Christmas whatever. I brought a beer called Tree Topper. So it's from the New Ontario Brewery, and it's a red ale. It's 5.2%. There's a picture of a campfire on it. It's pretty good. Nice. It would go nicely on top of your tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a beer stein.
Now, is a red ale the same thing as an amber?
See, I don't know. We were talking. Maybe that's what we should have been
the intro. Yeah.
We don't know. I don't know. Not really, but kind of. Anyway, it's a red ale, not an amber, but it could be also an amber. Who knows? Who could ever be sure?
Yeah, it's impossible to know.
I don't really know. Anyway, we should get on to the Magic news because there's a lot.
There's a lot of Magic
that happened
news,
this last week. Holy moly!
First of all, kind of came out of left field.
I know, very quickly. Anyway, first, before we get into that, actually, we have some podcast news. We will not be having an episode next week because of the holidays. So just, spend time with your family or Zoom with your family or whatever you're doing, and don't listen to us. Or listen to old episodes. Actually, that's what you should do.
That's what you should do.
Listen to old episodes that you haven't listened to yet. But we will be back the week after
You
Christmas.
could also spend the whole time crafting the perfect Apple Podcast review.
That's true, yes. You should actually write a review for us. Just a holiday-inspired drunken... Actually, we advocate drunken reviews. Yeah, please do that. At the end of Christmas, when you're nice and liquored up, go and review us on Apple Podcasts. That sounds great. So coming up this Friday, F&M is Historic Pauper. It's Pauper and Historic. Hooray. And then Christmas, actually, there's an F&M that is Standard Singleton Treasure, which seems kind of interesting. So you make a standard Singleton deck, and then each turn you get a treasure token. So things go faster. Also, I guess Christmas, so gifts.
It's like Hearthstone style.
Yeah, Hearthstone, but you also
turn.
get a land.
Yeah.
So you get basically twice as much. That's pretty nice.
Okay, there was also a shakeup with the Rivals League. This was one of the ones that I just wasn't expecting at all.
This was nuts.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Jessica Estefan and Emma Handy will no longer be members in the Rivals League.
Yes, for two big reasons. It's not. They did not get kicked out. There was no like shenanigans.
No disqualification or anything like that.
Jessica Estevan has recently moved to the United States to be with her partner. And she's in the period of time where she cannot work legally in the States. Being a person that has done that before, I have sympathy for you. It can be a hard time, but at least you're with your partner, and you will find good in other things. Jessica, if you're listening. But it's great. We hope to, it's great for you to be there, but we're going to miss you a lot.
Yeah.
And then Emma Handy, she actually got a job at Wizards of the Coast in play design.
Right. So if you have a hand in making the cards, you're not allowed to be in one of the pro players.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
You're like,
it's just a conflict of interest in the old card design.
Yeah, kind of screws that up. So so they will both be gone. We are both sad because we have picked both of them on different teams that we've played for fantasy. So
exactly, I picked Emma last time,
and I picked Jessica in my first team. So we will miss both of you, but hopefully, Jessica, you will be back in the future.
Yep.
But how it's going to work is that they're not actually going to be replaced this season. So we're just going to have, 46 Rivals players instead? Mm-hmm. And their match wins and losses, mainly their losses. Or no. Yeah, mainly their losses against people. No, I guess both. Both are wins and losses, yeah.
Well, both count, but the thing you would be wondering about is, will players who beat them still get the point?
Yes, right? And they will not.
Right.
All of their matches will be voided. Because they did not get to play every single player in the Rivals League. So some players that won or lost will be at an advantage or disadvantage, depending on how that goes.
But yeah, you're right in the sense that the loss is void as well, in that everyone's going to play the same number of games.
Exactly. So everyone's going to play the same number of games.
If you discount that game they played against Emma or Jessica.
So it might the numbers might look strange for a little bit, but then they'll get all worked out in the end.
Right.
We also have there's going to be a standard shakeup December 19th to the 25th, and then a historic shakeup December 26th to the January 1st. It's basically where they take that format and ban a bunch of powerful cards to see what people could build without them.
In addition to the usual banned cards.
Yeah, in addition to the usual ones. So these are just events that you can play in and see. It's just like a fun experiment.
Did you play any of them last time? Or?
I have not done it.
Yeah, I didn't play them either. But
seems interesting. If you're looking for a building challenge,
right?
Go for it. I'm not looking for that because I have a hard enough time building decks without that restriction.
Well, I was gonna say I already have a bunch of decks that probably will meet their restriction because they're built around bad cards that I've been playing on the ladder anyway.
So then you're just like,
yeah, suckers.
I actually have this good deck.
Nope, this deck still sucks.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Also, all this stuff's happening. Kaldheim previews didn't start, but we're in the middle of the week of metal.
Pre-preview?
It's like a pre-preview week.
Yeah.
They're calling it the week of metal, basically. Mm-hmm. They announced it on Monday, and we're recording this on Tuesday, so we are at the beginning of it. You'll know more about it once you hear this, but
you know more than we do.
You know more than we do, but it's kind of cool because they actually are having a lot of actual metal bands preview Magic cards, which is pretty sweet. And I actually started listening to a couple of them because of it. So
that is cool.
I hope they do more of this.
And the alternate art style is going to be these metal.
Yeah. It seems like it's
kind of like metal album.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really awesome.
I am pretty stoked for that.
Yeah.
But so that's the news.
Well, and they told us a bit more about the set too. Like we met 2 new planeswalkers.
Oh yes.
And they confirmed that Kaya and Tybalt are in the set.
Yeah, so we're gonna have 4 planeswalkers. Mm-hmm. We have Kaya and Tybalt, which we will talk about. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And then 2 new planeswalkers. They have little breakdowns about them, but I usually don't read those. Mm-hmm. The only one I thought was interesting was there is our first non-binary planeswalker.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet.
The cool thing about the other planeswalker is he's an elf,
Yes,
which means that elves is a tribe in Kaldheim.
that is very true.
Yep.
That I didn't think about that as like tribe centric. I was just like, oh, cool, an elf.
Yeah, I read a bit of his story blurb.
Okay.
And yeah, I guess there's shadow elves and forest elves on Kaldheim.
Okay.
Or wood elves or something.
Wood elves.
The green ones and the black ones.
I think I saw somebody draw a comparison between wood elves, the card, and him, because how jacked they are in that
Right,
picture,
yeah.
and he's pretty jacked, and it has just lots of nipple in the picture. I was like, okay, here we go.
It's the new art direction for Magic
Yeah.
Planeswalkers. With
Fantastic.
Oko too was sitting
Oko,
there.
just
like-
lots of like nipple. It started with like Jace cutting
Sexy
Castaway.
Jace,
Yeah, sexy Jace, which going back isn't as sexy as I remember.
No, because they've really turned the dial up on that.
I know. I was like, oh, I remembered him having like a kind of torn shirt and his chest bare. No,
Yeah.
he's just like on a ship. I was like, this is not the sexy Jace I remember.
Yeah.
I'm pretty disappointed. So
It's like the equivalent of when the females have like breastplate bras.
yeah,
You know?
it's like
What, they don't need to protect themselves just because they're women?
yeah, they're just like better fighters, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. But we get some. Well, I was kind of sad because none of the planeswalkers have like big Viking beards. I thought
Yeah.
one of them was going to be like a big, large, like hairy chested, beardy.
No, the one from Kaldheim is an elf, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't have that look.
He's like very smooth.
I'm excited. They could bring some elves into historic, maybe make that a better deck.
Yeah, I mean,
I like elves.
I already like elves already, so.
Yeah,
well,
looking forward to Kaldheim.
yeah, it'll be pretty sweet. I'm excited. More previews are going to be January 7th. I'm also trying not to know as much about the story as possible because we're going to have a future episode, which we will tell you about in the future.
Oh, that's true. I shouldn't have read about the elves.
Yeah, see, we won't tell you about it right now, but there's going to be something interesting with us.
I already know
and
too
the story.
much.
Yeah, you know too much already. But Jeff, I mean, our Arena Week, we're basically going to talk about it, so let's just jump into the Arena Open. How about
Sure. Yeah.
that? How was your Arena Open?
Well, not good, Zach.
Not good?
Not good.
Interesting. Okay.
So coming into the event, as we advised, you should set a limit on how many times you're going to enter because you could, in theory, enter indefinitely.
Yes.
And it's 4,000 gems or 20,000 golds each time, and that adds up quickly if you
It sure does.
if you're as
It's
good at going 0-3 as I am.
Yeah, it's like $20, kind of, right? Like if
That's the way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's around there. Like 1,000 gold's about $1.
yeah.
It's pretty close to that.
So it's about $20 to
yeah,
play, but
each time. So it can get expensive if you and it can get addicting to just one more try.
I almost had it.
Yeah.
So how
So-
many times did you get suckered into play?
I had the gold and gems saved up to do 3,
Okay.
and I decided, do I want to am I willing to spend that all to have a good weekend? I decided, sure, I'll do 3, but I will not buy more gems.
Yes.
So I did 3 because, spoiler alert, I did not get in on the first draft. I didn't get in at all. In the first run, I did best of 1, which is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I used my Bant control list that I take full credit for concocting, because we both played it. I did not do well. I think something like 3-3. I don't remember the exact record, but I would be surprised if I was 4-3. Like, I don't think I was above 50%.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, if you get 3 losses, you're out, and you're trying to get to 7 wins. So you're trying to go 7-2 or better, 7-1, 7-0. I just ran into a lot of combo, like a lot of just decks that will kill you on turn 3 or 4 if they have the draw, and if you don't have a sensor. Basically, I needed to have sensor to interact.
Yeah.
Because I was, if I'm on the draw and they're going to kill you by turn 3-ish, you just need sensor. I didn't have the sensors and they had the kills. That just happened to me 3 different times, basically.
Yeah.
Then I tried with Autumn's Goblins list because I realized, well, best of 1 seems like an aggressive combo format. I think I did about the same. This one, I think I did do 4-3, so I came out a little ahead on win rate.
Okay.
But again, got comboed out a couple of times, and one game I played against this white 9 lives prison lock deck
yeah.
that I just goblins.
That's just
can't
immediately
really
a loss,
beat it. So then I was all fed up with best of 1, took my band control list into best of 3, and I went 0-1. Played against really good match actually against Rakdos Arcanist, which I think is a really positive matchup for me, but just didn't go my way.
Yeah.
How'd your tournament go?
Oh, well, I decided to play your band control list.
Big mistake.
In best of 1. I don't usually play control, so not necessarily my strong suit, but I did like the deck. I played it a little bit, and I was feeling really good about it. And then won my first match, felt great. I just got to Wrath right into a mono white life gain deck that had dumped their entire hand, and I was like, and I got to clean that up. That was real nice. And then I got hit with mono red cleave, and then goblins. I was like, okay, not going well.
Yeah. I actually think Goblins is also a pretty good matchup.
I thought it was going to be too, and I ended up just not getting I just could not
needs to
draw.
line up,
I could not draw a Wrath to save my life. Literally to save my life.
Yeah.
But I did play a really great match against Combo, against Matt Nass specifically, which was super cool.
Yeah. I mean, probably the best combo player in the world.
Yes. And luckily, he didn't have it right off the bat. It took him a little while to get into it. And I was looking pretty good. And I was like, I had a good turn, and I was like poised to kind of win the next, if I got another turn.
Right.
Of course, he didn't give me another turn.
He knew that.
Yeah, and I probably...
Teferi's sitting there on 8 loyalty.
Yeah.
He knows he can't let you untap.
So I had made a couple misplays, I think. And I wasn't exactly sure what he needed for the combo. So I just...
That's hard, because
I thought Embry was a little bit more important, and it ended up him drawing... with the Tamiyo, he drew Paradox Engine, and that was the card that was more important, and I didn't have anything to stop that.
Like he searched for it with Tamiyo's plus, or he took it from the graveyard?
He searched for it.
Okay. Well, he got super lucky then.
Well, so it didn't something like that. So anyway, it was good. I made him go through the whole combo.
Nice,
but I also just wanted to see what it was.
If you don't get that good at combo without enjoying actually combo.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a lot of different things that go on in that, where you have to use Karn to wish for some stuff, to get some things to bounce to your hand, to play it, to bounce Karn, to play Karn again, to wish something else. And
I'm sure he appreciated that you let him do it.
It was pretty cool. And I went through the whole thing, and he played Aetherflux and blasted me in the face for 50. So.
Right. You're sitting there like, well, it's Matt Nass on a combo deck.
I'm
doing things. I'm probably dead, but let's see it.
Also, like, I wanted to relish that loss. You know, if you're ever gonna lose to somebody, I want it to be like a player like that. So that was pretty cool.
Literally professional player who's known for playing this style of deck.
So I was I can always just have that badge of honor a little bit on my chest.
Actually, interestingly enough, I've just been playing random decks in Historic to try to find what to play next weekend, because I have another tournament. You know, I was planning on using day 2 of the Arena Open to prepare for next week, but that didn't happen. So now I just have to play on the ladder. And I was trying out this blue-black control deck, or sorry, blue-black mill deck.
Got it.
It's not rogues, but it's like Teferi's Tutelage, Teferi, and then bunch of control cards basically. Yeah. And I was beating Sultai, so I was like, "Is this a real deck? Maybe this deck doesn't suck." And then I played against Carlos Ramau, and he was on Sultai. And it became pretty clear that the only reason I was winning against other Sultai players was they were making mistakes. He didn't run into anything.
And you're like,
he beat the crap out of me.
Okay, well,
so I had to put that deck to rest, because I know there's going to be some good players next weekend.
Yeah.
He was just saving his thought seizes for the right moments and having less than 7 cards in his graveyard, because he knew that I had Into the Story probably, and you know, even though he's definitely never seen this deck before, because he's
just like
randomly made it up,
just like expecting it.
He just knows the cards.
I mean, yeah.
And I was like, okay, this deck gets dunked on by Sultai if it's in the hands of Carlos Ramau.
Yeah. Professional players?
Yes.
Who knew? Professional players. They're good at Magic.
They're good, yeah.
Whoa. Crazy.
But I was only in Platinum, so.
Well, I mean, maybe
he's still ranking up, too.
Yeah, he's like taking breaks in between championships and stuff, you know?
Yeah, he was preparing for the championship. Not ranking up to Mythic.
He's not trying to rank up to Mythic. He's like, I don't need to get up there if I don't have to. Exactly. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so overall, Arena Open felt...
You know, I didn't have that much fun because I don't like historic best of one that much.
Yeah.
It's just too combo. You lose on turn 4 if I have the right cards.
Well, it's funny because that combo deck I'd like never really seen before until like the championship, and then Arena Open, it was like everywhere. And now if you play historic, it's everywhere. So I'm like, I was just ill prepared. I should have been practicing earlier in the week. I was leaning a little bit too heavy on the FNM to pick a deck, and I should have picked I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I should have done.
If I could go back and do it again, I'd just try best of 3 all 3 times.
Yes, I definitely would have done best of 3 because I've been playing that for the last few months.
Right.
So,
And if our listeners did best of 1 because we recommended it, I'm sorry.
yeah, we apologize. We underestimated the difference between standard and historic in best of 1.
Because I did the Arena Open best of 1, and I tried best of 3.
The one in November.
Yeah, the previous one that was standard. I tried both, and I liked best of 1 better because it was more or less the same format, but best of 1 is more forgiving. Instead of losing once and you're out, you get to lose twice, but still be live.
But like in historic, you have so many different decks that you're coming up against that you actually need your sideboard to help you against mono white prison and stuff like that.
Yeah, the difference in best of 1 historic versus best of 3 metagames for this event was a lot bigger than the difference in the standard event.
Yeah. Obviously, card pool size and all that kind of stuff.
So I do think it's still true that best of 7 or best of 1 is easier to qualify for day 2.
Yes.
So if that's all you want, then make sure you research the best of 1 metagame, choose whatever combo deck you think
And be playing
kills the
that for
fastest.
the last week or so.
Yeah, and play that in best of 1. If you want to play kind of the good old historic that you are used to, play best of 3.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun in the best of 3 match that I played. Even though I lost, I went 0-1.
Yeah.
I still had a really back and forth match with a Rakdos deck, and that ended up being the most fun I had all day. The rest was just kind of frustrating, where it's like, well, they have the turn 4 kill again.
Yeah.
I guess I'm out again.
I basically like played it and then took a nap because I was like, just an anger nap.
Right.
Where I'm like, I'm so angry and salty. Because my fiance was just like, so how long is this tournament going to take? I was like, I don't know. Like, it depends on how long it's going to be or whatever.
Julia knows now that it's a long time if I do well, and otherwise not. So.
Yeah. And so I was trying to explain that, and I was like, hopefully it takes a long time. And then, like, it wasn't even like 12 yet. I was like, I'm out. I'm not doing this again. She's like, wait, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I thought you were going to. Nope. And I was like, don't talk.
Don't, just, not yet. In an hour.
Taking a nap. Like, I need to.
Yeah, for me, it was, you were coming over later.
Yes.
And then we were talking about doing something in the afternoon, and Julia's, oh, wait, you have your tournament today. I'm like, nope, already got knocked out of that 3 times,
done.
so it's okay.
Yeah, so it doesn't... But thank you for remembering. I do appreciate that.
Right,
that was nice.
exactly.
And making it feel legitimate. Even though I just threw some stuff away. Whatever.
Played some terrible band control. I don't know where you found that crap, but...
I still like the deck. I still think it's fun.
I think it's a good deck.
I don't think it's bad.
I don't love it in best of 1 just because of all the combo decks.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you keep saying combo. I mean, I really just feel like there's the combo, there's the Paradox Engine.
Yeah.
There's the Paradox Engine, like Emery Karn combo. And then you have 9 lives.
Well, I think of Goblins as a combo deck, too.
Okay, I guess I don't really think of Goblins as a combo deck.
Because it plays like a combo deck, right? It's just trying to kill you as fast as possible with this
But that's just
key card.
it's just like aggro. I mean, like, yeah. But it can also kill you in a different way. I lost to just Goblin Instigators because I couldn't play creatures and I didn't have a Wrath.
Hell, Mono Red's a combo deck because it's cheap creatures and Embercleave. Combo.
Yeah. So if you play any cards that interact with
Synergize.
other cards, it's a combo deck.
That's right. If you play a bunch of...
Teferi and Counterspell.
If you play a bunch of random crap like I did.
Just...
I guess I just mean decks that are very linear. I don't necessarily mean combo. Just hyper-linear strategies that are trying to win on turn 4.
Sure. That just sounds like any deck I want to play. That just sounds like Magic.
But it's the entire historic best of 1.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
I mean, I had that even against Mono Red. It felt like a combo deck because they played a 1-drop, and then I was on the draw. on turn. I pass the turn after playing a land. They play land, burning tree, emissary, burning tree, emissary, burning tree, emissary, and then Steamkin.
That's the deck I want to play.
And I was like, well, if you had that in your hand, you know, like, it's when you're in paper, you're like, you could have just showed me that and we could go right to game. Like, the next game, man. And what am I supposed to do against that? Even if I have Wrath of God in my hand, it's too slow. It's 3 turns
you're
away.
going to lose before that. That's hilarious. To me,
I think I did have Wrath of God in my hand, and I was
you're
like, there's just no way. Runaway Steam Kid's going to be a 4/4.
It's going to be huge.
Play whatever they want next turn.
Yeah.
And they only have like 2 cards left.
But they don't.
I'm sure it's
doesn't matter.
Embercleave. So.
Yeah. No, it's the last Burning Tree Emissary that they didn't want to play to make you feel bad. You're like, you know what? I'll hold this one for next turn. I could have played this, but that's why we need a chat to be like, I have one more in my hand.
Yeah.
Scoop.
But there's less of that kind of thing in Standard. There are still fast draws. Like Gruul can have the haste landfall creature.
Brushfire Elemental.
Yeah, they could go Brushfire, Fabled Passage, and it feels like you can't win that game because you're at 10 already.
Because they hit you for
9.
10. Well, you'll be at 9 because they hit you
for 1 on turn 2.
Before.
Yeah.
But I still prefer the turn 4 Kazandu Mammoth into Fabled Passage, into Great Henge, into Questing Beast.
Yeah.
And then you attack for like...
That's a pretty good turn.
Attack for 12 or something. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, not bad.
So
it does
combo
have,
deck.
It does have that, but I think Burning Tree Emissary just makes for more draws like that in Best of 1 Historic, where it's like, well, if you had 3 Burning Trees in your opening hand and you're on the play, I guess I'm out of this event.
Until that you like counter the first one and then
well, if I was on, I actually had Censor, so if I was on the play,
you would have been
censor
able to,
the first Burning Tree,
and then you're like, okay, slow it down.
Then it's delayed a whole turn, and I would have Wrath of God on time.
Exactly.
But I'm on the draw, so unless I was playing,
well, that's your fault. You should have been on the play. Come on.
Unless I was like, I don't think there was any card like one mana card I could have cast that would have done anything. Like I can Thoughtseize one of them away, or I could Thoughtseize away the Steamkin. Still probably gonna lose.
You could unsummon.
I unsummon in response to your Burning Tree trigger.
Nope,
play it again.
Play it again. You're like, whoops, the mana's floating.
I actually have done something that stupid before, where I was playing Standard and I was playing Teamer Adventures.
Okay.
My opponent was on mono red. They attack with everything and they slam an Embercleave onto their the Anax.
Okay.
So it's freaking huge.
Yeah.
So I have Brazen Borrower, and I go to bounce the Anax, and I just kind of click, like, not on the Anax. I click on the Embercleave. Embercleave goes back to his hand, and he slams it again for 2 mana again.
And you're like...
And I looked like such an idiot.
Oh, that's awful.
I swear I meant to click the Anax.
Classic misclick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
I took solace in the fact that I probably was going to lose that game anyways, because once they get Embercleave down to 2 mana, it's hard.
Exactly.
It's hard to win
that
game.
Well, then they just have a ton of creatures. That's just
exactly.
That's what that
You're
means.
just getting beat.
Yeah. So.
But I wouldn't have been dead just that turn had I targeted the correct thing.
Oh, one thing I did want to say about the Arena Open is just, I think we just need a segment called Zach Makes Mistakes, probably. So remember when I was talking about how the payout structure had changed for this one and it was different than the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not true. Yeah.
Oh.
I definitely went back and looked at it and was like, no, it says exactly the same thing on the last one as it did for this one. So I think I saw that on Twitter, got confused, something got crossed, thought it was different, definitely
That's
not.
okay. I saw a Twitter preview today that was Kaldheim, like preview thing, and then it had Wooded Foothills with a Kaldheim logo and new art in it. I was like, I don't think so. But
Nope.
you almost had me.
You almost had me.
Yeah.
They do like to do that kind of stuff. I don't think this was that kind of situation, but yeah. So I should look a little bit deeper sometimes.
Yeah.
So please forgive me.
At least that's a mistake that didn't really matter.
It did not really matter.
That this is like
Well,
you
for
told
us.
them the correct.
It didn't matter for us.
Well, you told them what the correct prize structure was, right? Or were you saying that
I was saying
the
that
new prize structure you claimed was incorrect?
the new prize structure for day 2 was incorrect.
I thought you were saying the mistake was that this wasn't the same thing they had last time. I
No.
was like, oh, that doesn't matter.
No, it was that last time I thought that you had to get to 7 wins to qualify,
Yeah.
and it was always 5.
Oh, so that's what I'm saying. It doesn't change anything for
Oh.
viewers listen
No,
to you because you're telling them misinformation about something that had happened like 3 months ago.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Yes. I just want you to know that I know that I was wrong.
Yeah. See, this is why we need just a ton of listeners and be active on Twitter, because you would have heard about that like
Immediately.
20 minutes.
Yeah,
after
I just
the
need
shit.
somebody to tell me when I'm wrong, because it happens a lot.
I'll make a little logo for our Zach is wrong. So.
Yeah, maybe we need a button. We need a soundboard and I just push
we need
it.
to get
It's
that
like
for sure.
wah, wah, wah. Or it's like wrong or something. I don't know. Tell us what you think we should make that that sound be, because eventually that'd be kind of fun to have.
It could just be, when you concede an arena and your face blows
Just
up.
explodes it. That sound. Can we take that sound? Are we allowed to do that?
Probably not.
Probably not. But we could make our own.
Yeah, and I'll make a little like icon that's you.
Yeah, it's just my face, like changing. If we ever why do we? It's an audio podcast. We don't need a picture.
Yeah, but I'll enjoy it so much more.
Oh, okay. So it'll just be for us. All right, that's good. That's kind of how I feel about the Arena Open. I don't have a lot else to say because I got pretty salty pretty fast.
Yeah, the only other thing I have to say is, talking historic, I got to figure out what to play next weekend.
Totally.
So I acknowledge that I should play Sultai or 4-color.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to, though.
What about one of the decks we're going to talk about next?
I also don't think I'm going to play it. Just because I don't, I don't.
It's a big tournament. This is the qualifier for the championship.
It's
not
honestly,
the pre-qualifier.
It's honestly not that I don't think the decks are good enough. I just don't want to. I don't want to play Sultai because I just don't really enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
And I figured out actually while playing it.
You liked it a lot.
No, so I figured out what I don't like about playing Sultai.
Okay.
Because in theory I should.
Yes.
It's not Uro as I originally thought.
Oh.
It's actually just Nissa. I just don't like Nissa.
I don't like Nissa either.
And I don't like having 4 copies of Nissa, and basically my whole game plan revolves around this
Nissa.
card.
Yeah.
Because I kind of hate that card. So I'm going to try to play a deck that doesn't play Nissa.
That sounds great.
Might just play Junsack.
Junsack.
Yeah. I'll take PV's list probably.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds pretty good. I like Junsack a lot. And
I have noticed a lot of people going back to Sultai.
Yeah.
Just in terms of Twitter and on the ladder and tournaments.
So then you can sneak in with a Junsack
That's
with
what
no
I'm
Yasharns.
saying. Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
People are cheating on their Yasharns. I might come in with Junsack.
Well, we will. Hopefully, you can figure that out and do well in the tournament, so that you can go to the championship and you'll pick yourself and I'll win again.
I'm saying this now, but all this now, but cue next show in a few weeks. Be like, I played Sultai.
Yeah, played Sultai. And still did terrible.
Yeah. Should have played a deck I enjoyed.
Dang it. But with that, I need a beer.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. And we're going to a beer break.
Beer break. That's a foamy one.
That's a good one. Yeah. All right, Jeff. What are you drinking now?
Well, I got your tree topper, red ale. Here.
Tell me if it can top your tree. What? No.
Actually, I don't have a tree topper right now.
Oh, I see.
Maybe I'll just skewer this can.
Put it on top. That's great.
Julia will love that.
Yeah, it's very just I don't know, white trash.
Yes, it's the elegant tree topper she's always wanted.
Yeah. And now I have the, Russian Stout. Russian Imperial Stout, sorry, my apologies. Named Russian Imperial Stout, just like I like.
That's right. I knew you'd like that.
So. I know. It's, who needs names, right? They're just
too fancy.
Fluffy,
I'd rather they focus more on the beer.
I just want beer. Just tell me the beer already has a name. Why are you trying to make it different?
Should just be called beer.
It's just beer. There is beer just called beer, right? Yeah. Anyway. Gruul Historic Decks. If you if you listened to our other episode, we went through and did a blue-white kind of breakdown, similar to what we're going to be doing right now. Mm-hmm. But basically, what we are talking about, and the reason we're doing this segment, is because getting into Historic can be really difficult if you don't have the cards. And it can be kind of like muddy waters. You don't exactly know what you're getting into, and you might waste a ton of your wild cards getting into it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean, it's even hard for people who play a lot and
Yes.
have collections built up.
exactly, it's just like there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's going to get bigger and bigger as we keep going on. So this is the second segment where we were talking about a 2-color pair and what we think you should focus on when you're getting into historic, and some cheap options for decks and more expensive options for decks in those 2 colors if you choose to like them.
Right.
But first, we do like to say our budget decks will always have a good mana base.
Yeah. So the first thing, especially if you're a listener of the show, you know we always advocate wildcards at the start should be spent on lands, because being able to cast your spells consistently is much better than having one really good card, but you can only cast it in 10% of your games because you don't have any good lands.
Exactly.
It's better to play with a bunch of uncommons and a few rares, as we'll show you in a second.
Yeah.
A few non-land rares, and have a really strong mana base than the other way around.
Exactly. And so in historic, we're always talking about shocks are the most important. And then check lands are nice, and also the pathway specifically for this.
Right.
We
And
like as
pathways, hey, if you're playing standard, which you should be if you have a new account,
Yep.
You wanted to get those anyways. So.
Yeah, and you probably have a lot of them, and
Right.
they're really good. And we're getting the 4 other ones in Kaldheim soon, so they're just going to be slapped into the rest of the lands that we need.
Yeah. So we mean budget. What exactly do we mean by budget then?
Budget really just means the deck, the actual like purpose of the deck, or what you're working towards. There are few to no rares.
Right. Non-land rares.
Non-land rares, yes. So
last time we did this budget, medium budget, and then non-budget thing. And the budget meant no non-land rares.
Yes.
Medium budget,
Had-
it wasn't really
like-
defined, but a few. It had 10,
like 7,
less than 10.
7 to 10.
Yeah. And then the no budget obviously means we're not concerned about the wild card.
Yeah,
count.
there's the best cards.
This time I think we're going to try it a little differently.
Yeah.
We decided that the medium budget deck we had was already pretty
budget,
budget.
yeah.
There's just one non-land rare, 4 copies. So there's 4 non-land
Non-land rares.
rare wild cards. So I think instead what we're going to do is a budget and a not budget. And the budget list, we're going to keep it as low on the rare count as possible. So here there are a few cards we could have added, right? And
Yes.
still been under the 10 rare count to
Or
make it
whatever.
not medium budget.
Exactly.
But we decided the only one that's essential is this one card. So we'll just keep 4 of those. Everything else will be...
And the deck works perfectly fine, and you can still beat a bunch of decks, and I have beat quite a few decks with this. So what we are saying we have chose for our budget Gruul deck is Gruul Electrostatic Pummeler.
Oh, real quick, we should mention that you can find the deck list.
Oh, yes. If you want to follow along, you can find the deck list at MTG Goldfish. It will be under Arena Regulars episode 10.
Yeah.
You can find us there, and the other decks from the last episode as well.
And if this episode you found the link through Instagram or through Twitter, we'll probably post.
Yeah, it'll be there. Also, we'll put the links in the show notes on your platform or whatever you're listening to. Just go to open the show notes and it'll be there. You'll find it very easily. But getting to the deck, Electrostatic Pummeler. What is that, Jeff?
Right as I was taking a sip.
All right, I'll read it. So this is the most important card of the deck. It's the reason we're playing the deck. It is the only non-land card that is rare, and we have 4 copies of it. It is a 3-mana artifact creature construct. It's a 1/1. When Electrostatic Pummeler enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. You can pay 3 energy, and Electrostatic Pummeler gets +X until end of turn, where X is its power. Wow. So doubles its power. Yeah. Well, basically doubles its power and toughness, but
some might say this card
most
grows
important.
exponentially.
Yeah, it really does. Super fun card. If you like things that go very, very big and destroy people with like a ridiculous amount of damage,
right,
this is the card. Well, first you think it's a 1/1, and you can double its power.
1/1. It's a 2/2, because
great.
it only has 3 energy.
Exactly.
Right?
When it comes into play, you get 3 energy. You make it a 2/2. A 3-mana 2/2 that you have to spend resources on. That sounds ridiculously terrible, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
sounds bad.
You would be wrong, though. Actually, so the deck can really be broken down into kind of 2 parts after we talk about Pummeler. So the two parts are basically we are playing cards that give us energy. So they're energy producing cards. And then the other card type is just any sort of trampling pump effect. Those are the basic things we're trying to do. So the point of the deck is that you want to take Electrostatic Pummeler. You want to give it +4, +0 and trample. You want to, and so now it's going to be a 5/1 with trample. And then you have as much energy as you can possibly get to double its power and toughness. So now you have 10 power, then double it again, you're at 20. Boom, they're dead if they're at 20. But it's always fun to go above and beyond.
Yeah, no, you have to.
And then you can easily,
BM.
hit people for 160 or whatever. It's pretty fun. And
See, I think of this as a combo deck.
okay, I don't think of this as a combo deck.
A card that doubles its power and pump spells.
Yes.
Combo.
Oh, sure. Two cards that work well together. But if you like big smashy stuff, like this is what I'm talking about. This is like, to me, this really feels like Gruul, like real Gruul. Even though it's an artifact, like big smashy things that just rip. It doesn't even matter what you have on the field. Like you will not, you can block this. It doesn't matter. I'm still dealing 90 damage to you a lot of the time.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you like this deck because it has a similar feel to Auras.
It does.
Where you just want to get one really important, huge creature and protect it.
Yeah.
Of course, Auras tends to branch out a little more because, the good creature draws cards when you play Auras.
Exactly.
And
This one doesn't, but it also kills faster.
this one kills like out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. And if people...
Kills harnessed lightning fast.
Yes.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. If your opponent doesn't exactly know what this card does, which has been happening more often than you would think, they won't see it as a threat. It's just a 1/1, and they'll be like, it is surprising. Until more people play this deck, you will be able to just like leave your pummeler on the field, and they'll kill something else instead.
Yeah, so it's probably worth noting that electrostatic pummeler decks were a big thing when Kaladesh was in Standard.
Yes.
They tended to be blue-green at the time, if I'm remembering correctly.
Because you can play Rogue Refiner and Glimmer of Genius, and there's a couple other energy cards that are...
Right, and they didn't have quite the same level of just kind of awesome red cards necessarily.
Exactly.
I'm even wondering if we were talking about upgrades, if you would play Embercleave in this deck. It's just,
You could totally play Embercleave in this deck.
it's an awesome pump spell, but this deck doesn't tend to go wide. Embercleave incentivizes you for going wide.
Yeah, so the way that we have built it, it does go a little wide.
Right.
You usually, when you're attacking to win the game, you'll probably be attacking with 4 creatures.
Okay.
3 or 4 is usually what you kind of get around. So so Cleave could definitely go in this deck. Also, any sort of... Well, before we go into upgrades, let's just like quickly talk about some of the cards that are in it. Long Tusk Cub. Any of the cards that like enter the battlefield and give you energy. So Servant of the Conduit, Voltaic Brawler.
That's got to be your ace, right? That's what you want to be playing on turn 2.
That's a really good turn 2 play. I even have Aether Torch Renegade because it's a 3 mana 1/2, but when it enters, you get 4 energy.
Right, 4
and
is a lot.
Any card that gives you 3 or more is really good because that's a full pump of the pummeler. We're also playing Tune with Aether, and one card that is extremely important to this deck, besides of course Invigorating Rampage, which gives it +4, +0 in trample. Also Collision Colossus that gives it +4, +2 in trample. But Blossoming Defense.
I would also put, other than Electrostatic Pummeler, I would also put Attune with Ether in the Do Not Cut pile. So if you want to build your own version of this deck, you must play Blossoming Defense, I think.
Yes.
It's just the best way to give a creature hexproof. And the strategy here, again, is kind of a defend the queen, protect the queen kind of strategy. You have one threat that's going to kill them very, very quickly. If you can untap with it, you're probably in great shape.
Exactly. A lot of the times what will happen with the sequencing is that you have it's turn 4, you have Electrostatic Pummeler, maybe a couple other things, and maybe 2 pump, you have 6 energy. That's what I'm trying to say. So you can pump Pummeler twice.
Yeah. You can double its power and toughness
so
twice.
basically what you'll want to do is attack with it, and then give it +4, +0 in trample. And then when they try to remove it, you can play Blossoming Defense and then pump it a bunch.
Yeah.
And you'll be good.
So like I was saying, this used to be a standard. I think people actually played this at the World Championships.
Oh, really?
Back in the day. It didn't win the event, but it was a known quantity that people had to prepare for, and some people played it. And I never played the deck myself, but I loved playing against it because it has this really kind of battle of wits going on, or this, bluff passing back and forth where, okay, they attack with the pummeler. Well, what do I do? If I try to kill it, you don't want to try to kill it in combat because they're going to play their pump spells in response and then get the better of you.
Yeah.
But if they try to pump it with Blossoming Defense or something, then I'm going to have to kill it in response to that. So it was this weird, like, nobody wants to do anything. They attack me with Pummeler. Do I just take one? Are you going to pump it once? It's on them to decide what to do.
Yeah.
And I have to sit there, when do I kill this thing? And any wrong movement from either player probably loses the game. And I just really liked those like high intensity
because
games.
Different from the Aura's deck where the Aura's deck can kill you in one turn when it goes, but usually it doesn't know it's going to do that until that turn.
Right.
Pummeler knows I'm going to kill them next turn, kind of thing. Unless they have something. If you have a Blossoming Defense and another pump spell, it's like, I'm probably going to kill them right now. Yeah,
and when you play against it, you have to assume if they're untapping with Pummeler, they can kill you.
Yes.
So you have to play
as if they're going to.
Right.
Because a lot of the Aura's deck is matters what cards you draw off of the spells you're playing. In Pummeler, you probably have the pieces in your hand, and if you play the Pummeler on the battlefield, you probably have the pieces already. You don't really want to have it out without some sort of backup Blossom Defense or something.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say is you probably want to play this on turn 4 with a Blossoming Defense to protect it.
Actually, you can play Servant of the Conduit.
Sure. Yeah.
On turn 2, and then on turn 3 you can play it because then they won't remember that the Servant can do that or whatever.
But you don't usually want to just tap out on this for turn 3.
No. Don't tap out without a Blossoming Defense up, because it is really it's the card that wins you the game.
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of this plan is all in. Like you're doing this, and you can't deal with a lot of other distractions. Sometimes you can squeeze out a win with the Long Tusk Cubs or a couple other creatures if you hit early, but it's really the reason you're playing. So protect it.
Yeah, I always thought it was really interesting to play against this deck with counter spells too, because if I counter their Voltaic Brawler, well, then they're going to play an Electrostatic Pummeler. But the Voltaic Brawler hits for 4. You can't just let it be there forever.
Exactly. So you do have those kind of problems of like, sometimes you just win games because you have all of your energy creatures that are just, you aren't drawing Pummeler, but some of those are pretty good anyway.
It's similar to when I play against Goblins, and I'm always saving stuff because I can't beat a Muxus, and then they just kill me with a bunch of dorky Goblins.
And you're like, that happened in the Arena Open.
Yeah.
When they just played, I countered one Goblin Instigator that brings the 1/1 with it, and they played 2 more, and I just lost to that.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so stupid. It's not even real goblins. You're not even obliterating me. It's just like I can't deal with I can't deal with 5 1/1s.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks.
no Wrath of God.
No Wrath of God. Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah, so you just have to respect the pummeler.
So respect the pummeler, be the pummeler, pummel.
And like you're saying, people aren't used to this deck.
They definitely aren't. So you will squeeze out some wins. I even won a best of 3 against the combo deck that we were talking about earlier. Playing this exact list.
Was it Matt Nass?
It was not Matt Nass. It was somebody who wished that they were Matt Nass, because he would definitely obliterate me. But I think it's a super great deck, and the mana base, fantastic. Because I used 4 Stomping Grounds, 4 Pathways, and then 2.
I really like the Hashep Oasis. That just makes a lot of sense in this deck.
Yeah, so that's actually an extra thing I added maybe a couple days ago as an extra pump spell, just in case.
Getting a pump spell out of your land seems sweet.
Oh, for sure. Definitely fun. I just love when people, you have no cards in hand, and then all of a sudden your pummeler's still there, and you just pump it for 3, and it gets huge.
All of a sudden,
now they're
I had
attacking
6
for
energy
16
and a Hashep Oasis.
Oh, so you're attacking for 16? Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. With no cards in hand? How?
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
The only problem with Pummeler is it doesn't have trample, and that's why all of your pump spells tend to give it trample.
Yes. So the trample is extremely important. Any pump spell, if you're looking at pump spells and you're like, oh, Infuriate, that's really cool, +3/+2.
And I get to scry.
Yeah, any of that crap. You can't use any of it.
No, it has to give
It has to give trample. And I really think...
Or hexproof, like Blossoming.
Or hexproof, yeah. Which that's mainly what you're using Blossoming Defense for, but sometimes it can just be an extra fun. Let's see how high we can go.
Yeah.
But I will
sometimes
say,
if you have 2, you can start on it, and
Yes.
then they're forced to respond to it,
And
and then
then-
you play the other one.
And then they play another Fatal Push.
Well, at that point, they had something leave
Exactly.
the battlefield and had 2 fatal pushes.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things that are going on in that situation, but yeah, I really think that the magic number for this, you want your electrostatic pummeler to be at 5 power.
Right.
Also because the math is super easy.
Yeah.
But obviously when you hit somebody for 20, that's mainly game.
5 double is 20.
Math checks out. Doctor says so.
It's true.
But this deck is budget. Are there some cards we could add to it to make it a little bit more less budget?
So I hypothesized Embercleave.
Yes.
You're the expert on the deck, so you seem to agree that'd be
I think Embercleave would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It does give...
worth testing, right?
It's definitely worth testing because it gives trample and double strike.
Yeah.
And if you double your power, so then I can hit for like close. I mean, that would be like can I hit for 500? Like that's basically what I'm thinking in my mind.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
I mean, if you can hit for 100 normally, you could get to 200.
Exactly.
202.
202.
Embercleave.
So
Embercleave is 2x plus 1.
That's it. Yeah.
2x plus 2. Don't forget.
So that does seem pretty fun. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously you're going to throw a Bristling Hydra because that will give you a bunch of energy, and itself is a threat, and people will try to remove it, and it can
Right. So Bristling Hydra is the rare from Kaladesh. It's a 4/3, makes 3 energy, but you can spend 3 energy to put a counter on it and give it hexproof.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of, you can pump this threat up in a similar way because it's already a 4-power creature and it can pump itself up. It only adds 1 to its power every time, but it gives itself hexproof,
which is a big deal.
It's still kind of your plan B to the pummeler.
It is a plan B, but if you attack with a pummeler and a Hydra, they have to figure out something. Like, because if you attack with both of them and they're trying to figure out their blocks, get pretty confusing.
I've actually just kind of lost games to Hydra too, where I'm sitting there with a bunch of removal spells. And they just play a Hydra, and they don't ever use the energy prematurely. Only use it.
Only use it when you're going to get removed. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's an obvious addition. Some other things that jumped out to me was I'd probably play Shatter Skull Smashing.
Oh, for sure.
Because that's just another land that can act as a removal spell.
It's a land that does stuff. I mean, why would you not play that? It's so good.
Yeah.
I would try to sneak some sort of card advantage in here. I don't know if I'd love putting Chandra in here, but like I feel like anytime I have a red deck, I tend to like that.
Yeah, one thing I notice is that every creature in this deck costs 3 or less.
Yes. Oh,
but you only play 18 creatures. So Collected Company would be something that you probably only expect to hit 1 creature off.
Yeah.
Most of the time, that's kind of your mean. But using it to find a pummeler on end step sounds awesome.
It does sound pretty dope. So I would definitely test out Collected Company.
Maybe just as like a 1 or 2 of, which is really weird because Collected Company is one of those cards that's either 4 of or 0.
Or 0.
Almost all the time.
Because you usually build your deck around it because you want your deck to have creatures with 3 CMC or less.
Right. I mean, the number is usually you want like 27 creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less. And that's kind of on the low end. So here we have 18 in the current list. So you would never expect to hit. You shouldn't expect to hit 2 creatures off this usually.
So you're really just going just for the pummeler in that situation.
But the upside would be high enough. I guess Bristling Hydra is a 4-drop though, right?
It is a 4-drop.
So if you're playing Hydra, then
I'd probably rather have Hydra in it than the pummeler. Than the pummeler, than Collected Company, because we have to run these pump spells, which I think is really fun because I love pump spells.
Yeah.
And you usually can't play them in constructed. They're super. You'll see them in draft all the time because they're really great there. That's why I love draft so much.
I don't even know about really great, man. Like pump spells are okay in draft.
They're pretty amazing. What are you talking about? Giant Growth is like the best card ever printed.
If you say so.
I mean, you bolt my creature, Giant Growth.
Yeah. That is one way that
Giant
can happen.
Growth is better than all the other one instance that they made in Alpha.
Yeah, that's right. It's better than Healing Salve. I'll give you that.
It is better than Healing Salve.
But I think it's the second worst one.
It's the second worst one, but one of the best ones.
Yeah, it's in the top 4.
It's in the top 2 in Arena.
There you go. Yeah.
of those cards. No, it's the first one.
Does
It's the
Healing
only
Salve
one.
will even make it to Arena?
No, it's the only one. It's the best one. There we go. Boom.
It's the
Giant
only-
growth.
It's the best one on Arena.
It's the
That's
best
right.
one on Arena.
Yeah.
That's what I'm sticking to.
Yeah, I love how you're thinking of the scenario when they bolt your creature and you growth it, and I'm thinking of the scenario when you go to giant growth your creature and they bolt
You
it.
bolt it.
God, that's bad. Your dream is like a 1-for-1 and a couple extra damage.
I just like that they negate each other. It actually, they're the only ones that really, besides what they wanted Healing Salve to do,
Right.
they actually work
It
together.
negates a bolt to the face.
Yeah, great. You could either prevent it or gain the life. Which one do you want to do? It doesn't really
Basically
matter.
better than giant growth. It prevents lightning bolt on a creature or to your face.
Okay, all right. Sure. Oh. Everybody knows that the black one's the best.
The black one.
Dark Ritual, come
Yeah,
on.
it is the second best. I agree.
What? Oh, drawing 3 cards for 1 blue is good? Dumb.
Or you're forgetting that you can also let your opponent draw 3 cards.
Oh, right.
It's another option the card
Right.
has.
So I have Underworld Dreams or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that the card? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Underworld Dreams.
Yeah, that'd take 3 damage off that.
Oh, anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, I think the only other thing we wanted to mention was it could be fun to experiment with playing some Mutate in this deck as a way to pump your Pummeler.
Actually, yes, that did seem fun. So if you were playing a Mutate creature onto the Pummeler, it immediately has more power than it had before.
If you choose correctly which
If
one
you
to
if you
put on
choose if you put the Mutate creature on top, which is what you should do.
Yeah.
I was trying to play around with that a little bit, but I didn't have usually they're just too expensive and they see it coming, and the fun part is that it's kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that it would be worth trying. Like going in being like, what are my favorite Mutate creatures? I'm gonna throw them in this deck, see if they're any good.
That's why I mentioned it during upgrades, because you were probably looking at common and uncommon.
I
Mutate
was.
Creatures. Maybe there's a rare one that's
So I
worth
think
it.
like probably a Gem Razor would be really good.
Yeah, right.
Because that will give reach
Gives
and trample,
trample,
and it
yeah.
only costs 3 to mutate on top of it, so that's
Gem Razor is
pretty
just
great.
a pretty good card.
It's just a pretty good card, but having it maybe in your sideboard if you want to throw in some funny stuff. But yeah, that's kind of one of the only ones I really liked. Nothing else seemed to jump out at me as like being worth it. They all seemed a little bit too expensive or did things that we weren't exactly trying to do and changing the game plan a little
Seems
bit.
sweet though.
Seems pretty sweet. I do think it'd be fun. Maybe an Everquill Phoenix, just because you can give it flying. That's also good. So some of those seemed pretty fun. I didn't try it though, but it would be worth looking into.
Right. And one card I was thinking about just as a resilient threat is that I think should see more play in Historic than it does, is Rekindling Phoenix.
Oh.
You know, just as a 4/3 flyer that's hard to deal with. Some decks can't really beat it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even Sultai, they don't have a ton of ways to beat a Rekindling Phoenix. They could Thoughtseize it.
That's true.
Or have 2 removal spells.
You need 2 removal spells.
Or Extinction Event. That's kind of their one thing. And Extinction Event seems rough for us anyways.
Well, Extinction Event is just...
It's just a really good card.
That's just a good card.
Yeah. Most creature decks get hosed by Extinction Event. Like it exiles at least half your board
Basically.
every time.
Yeah.
Unless they choose to exile the smaller
Half.
portion.
Yeah.
In which case that's better for them anyways, because that's why else would they choose it?
Yeah.
You know?
So... But okay. I could see it being interesting just as like a problem. Whatever. We should probably get on to the second deck that we have.
Right, non-budget.
Non-budget deck.
This is kind of just standard Gruul, though.
It really is.
It's like Gruul has a lot of good, high-quality threats.
just like, Gruul is high quality here. These are the prime Christmas presents right here.
Gruul high-quality stuff.
Yeah. Basically, the deck that we have right here is kind of going around, but it's Burning Tree Emissary, which we love. But the big,
Recently unsuspended.
and it turns out it's a good card. Fantastic. But most of the cards are 3 CMC or less. They're creatures, Why would they be 3 CMC or less?
Because we want to play Collected Company.
Yes, that's what we were talking about in the last deck. This deck's all about Collected Company. It's fantastic.
4 mana instant. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. Put up to 2 creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less among them into play.
So good.
Yeah, so you're basically, if you're really nailing this, you're playing 4 mana to get 6 mana worth of creatures, and you're getting it at instant speed.
So on your either on end step or blockers.
Yeah, most likely scenario is in this deck on your opponent's end step. Like they tap out for Wrath of God to wipe your board. You say, okay, I immediately refuel on your end step.
Which is fantastic.
That's the idea behind this card.
Yeah.
And so this just plays a whole bunch of 3 is the best, right? You don't really want to be putting like Llanowar Elves into play off this.
Exactly.
While that's an option.
Yeah.
And that's involved in the math here on how often you hit 2 creatures, where I think you shouldn't count Llanowar Elves in that math because you really don't want to hit Llanowar Elves.
Which we are. We're playing 4 Llanowar Elves just to ramp into some of our
Right, we have
stuff.
31 creatures, and I said you want 27 to hit 2,
Exactly.
so 4 Llanowar Elves. Yeah.
Yeah. Boom. All right. Hey.
Yeah. It's almost like
almost like you looked at this list. You're
Yeah.
like, okay, 27.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
You're
later.
suggesting I did it backward. 31, subtract the 4 Llanowar Elves.
27. So that's the number that you want.
Yeah, that's what happened.
I'm just kidding, but yeah, you definitely want like your entire deck basically to be creatures, so that you have a bunch of choices. Because when I was playing this deck, I was like, okay, so which 2 creatures do I pick? Because there's 4 of them. I'm like,
Right.
I don't know.
But the other part about, how you can cast Collected Company during blocks or on their end step or stuff, part of that is you have to think about what creatures you want to hit.
Yeah.
Right? So you may have this deck list looks like it doesn't have Reclamation Sage in the sideboard, but that's a card you could put in if that...
You definitely should have one, I think. That was something I was going back and forth with.
Right.
Whether I wanted a Braid or...
It depends on the
Reclamation
metagame,
Sage.
right? But, like sometimes you'll want to even do it on your main phase to hit a Reclamation Sage to kill an artifact or enchantment.
Yeah.
So it's really skill testing Collected Company, even though it sounds like it's just, I'll put a bunch of creatures into play and see what happens.
it's definitely not that easy, but...
Like in the Mythic Invitational, I saw Luis Scott Vargas do that, where he played it at a really, I think it was like during combat, because it surprised his opponent, who was Gabriel Nassif on the same deck, because he knew he could hit Reclamation Sage, and he did, and killed the Witch's Oven after like Gabe had made blocks or something, and it really messed with it. Made Gabe's blocks look pretty bad.
Oh, interesting, because he couldn't sack him to the Witch's Oven?
Yeah, exactly. Gabe blocked in a way, assuming he would have Witch's Oven available next turn, and he didn't. Obviously, Luis is going to see a play like that, but Collected Company...
And Gabe wouldn't? But no, that's awesome. Yeah, I do, playing creatures at instant speed we know is pretty powerful.
Yeah, so when you play a Collected Company deck, other than the 27 creature mark, which is kind of what you want to hit, you'll see 26 around. A lot of people say 26 is enough. I don't think it's enough. If you look at the numbers, you're
Wrong.
You're like 80, 84, something like that, 84% to hit with your Collected Company, and then only 60. I don't remember the numbers exactly to hit 2. So that sounds really low to me. It just doesn't sound like it's worth building your.
And
whole deck
when
around
you're
this.
saying hit, you're talking
One
about
creature.
One creature.
Yeah.
And then 60% to hit 2. Is this 2 that are both above at 3 CMC? No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I mean the Collected right.
Just like have 2 creatures come into
So
the battlefield,
every
whatever.
card that is not a creature with converted mana cost 3 or less
Makes it worse.
And not a land.
Yeah.
Comes at a pretty high cost of reducing the effectiveness of your best card.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, is this card worth it?
Yeah. It definitely makes Kazandu Mammoth a lot better, because not only could you play it off of Collected Company, but it's also a land. So
Exactly. So here we have Embercleave and Questing Beast as basically the only 2 cards that are not lands and do not get hit by Collected Company.
Yeah.
And those cards I do think are worth it.
I definitely think they are worth it.
Yeah. Questing Beast is really, really good. That'd be the card I would cut over Embercleave, though, if you wanted more hits.
Definitely. Yeah, especially if you're sideboarding.
Yeah.
Questing Beast is usually the one you're like, we can get rid of this one.
I know you're going to hit the Collected Company with 3 lands and 3 Embercleaves. You're like,
Which does
Built
happen.
this deck.
Yeah, what the?
But the other way it works is so awesome when you collect a company into a bunch of creatures and then your Embercleave doesn't cost anything. Yeah. Embercleave's just amazing.
It's just such. Okay, so of the Throne of Eldraine artifacts that came out,
Yeah.
is Embercleave the best one?
So Embercleave and the Great Henge
Are
are
the
at the
best
top by a country mile.
Yeah.
I think Embercleave is a little better than the Great Henge.
Yes, I think so too. It has more decks that it goes in, and it finishes better than. You need the Great Henge out for a few turns, where you need Embercleave one turn.
Right. When I was playing Gruul in Standard, I played more Great Henge than Embercleave because I think it was better in that deck.
Yeah.
But I think, like you're saying, Embercleave is kind of just a mono-red staple now and goes basically in any aggressive red deck.
That attacks with lots of creatures.
You want to play Embercleave, and probably the other card on that list is you want to play Bone Crusher Giant.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing to note is that this list has both 4 copies of Bone Crusher Giant and 4 copies of Collected Company, which are both cards on our historic staples list.
Right.
Which will be growing later in whenever we feel like it.
Yeah. Next year.
Next year, whatever. But those are like that's part of the reason why we picked this deck is because we think that those are cards that you will want to craft no matter what because you can play a bunch of decks with them. So here's just another deck that you can craft. Those cards will be useful for.
Right. And this deck we're talking about is it plays as standard beatdown, right?
Yeah.
You just try to curve out as best you can and win with an Embercleave.
Exactly. I mean that's the Gruul way.
And use Collected Company to refuel.
Yeah.
Or if they do nothing, they decide not to cast a Wrath of God, try to put more pressure on. It can be used that way as well.
Exactly. I think it's super fun. Many of these, I mean, Gruul really has like a very specific kind of thing it's trying to do with almost all of its cards.
The thing that's interesting here is about, main phasing Collected Company.
Yeah.
There are a lot of haste threats here. So if your opponent did tap out, it might be right to main phase Collected Company if they're at a low enough life total or they have a Planeswalker you want to kill or something. Because you can hit Robber of the Rich, Surtaw Goblin, or Gruul Spellbreaker.
Yeah.
I also just want to say I love Rada, and I love that that's in this list.
Rada is nice. There's a one of Rada, Heart of Keld,
Yeah.
which is just a great card.
It's not something you need to play. It's just a card I really like, and I'm
do
always
too.
surprised that nobody plays it. So
I know. It's just like I love being able to play lands off the top of my library and just to get those onto the battlefield without having to
it's
draw
card
them.
advantage in a red-green beatdown
Exactly.
deck. That's great.
And then late game, Rada pumps really big. So
Yeah, and then for some reason it has this extra text that is just a 12/12 in
just
the late
for
game.
it's just for commander essentially.
Yeah.
Make it a viable commander. That's what a lot of like legendary creatures have now.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with, giving creatures more ability. Sure, go for it.
Yeah. So if you want to play this archetype, the cards you really can't cut, I would say Burning Tree Emissary, Embercleave, and Collected Company, and Bone Crusher Giant.
And Bone Crusher Giant
Yeah.
for sure. And you probably Kazandu Mammoth. You just
Yeah,
want
I don't understand any. You would have to have a really good reason for not playing
playing
Kazandu
it
Mammoth.
in just like green decks or
Like, I understand the tap land
aspect of it.
sucks, right? Looks like we're playing 26 lands in this version, which is the awesome thing about this card is normally a Gruul aggro deck would not get to play 26 land
Exactly.
and have 31 Collected Company targets. But we do because of Kazandu Mammoth acts as both.
Which is
So yeah, tap lands suck, but the only turn 1 play we have is Land War Elves.
so anyway, check out the deck. Tell us what you would like to change about it or what you would find that you'd rather play or if you like
give it a try. I've never actually played this deck, but I've played against it. It's
pretty good. I like it.
And it's similar to the previous deck where you just have to respect their ability to kill you out of nowhere because of Embercleave.
Yeah.
And I've lost a lot of games to this deck. So.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun playing it. And yeah, I definitely think it's worth crafting. Well, if you have the cards, throw it together.
If this is your play style, and this is a viable deck in Historic. I wouldn't say it's tier 1, but
it's definitely not
probably
tier
2.
Yeah, but I could see it creeping up into tier 2. It's definitely super fun and just goes hard and goes fast. So if that's your play style, go for it. That is a lot of Gruul stuff. Kind of all the cards are.
That's a grueling segment.
It's very grueling and long. So long that I don't have a beer anymore.
Me neither.
Yeah, so I think we need to go to a beer break.
So Zach, what beer you got there? Which pick?
I have the no name beer. There's no name.
Yeah, try a Wellion.
Yeah, it's just
Wellington Brewery Russian Imperial Stout.
I picked the Russian Imperial Stout. Almost just spilled all over your table right there.
A disaster.
Yeah. No, this is just
waste of stout. I don't care about. Yeah, we have a lot of electronics around and stuff, but I'm thinking like
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the beer.
Yeah.
No, this you brought a good beer. I didn't know we were bringing good beers. I was bringing a fun beer with a nice name.
Yeah.
But we should talk about them because we drink them.
So I also chose the Russian Imperial Stout.
Yeah. So the stout wins the round. It's hard because we both love stout so much. So like, what are you gonna do? You bring a stout, like I'm gonna probably pick it. So
that was my thinking. Mm-hmm. So what do we want to rate first? The one we did pick or the one we didn't pick?
Let's do the one we did pick.
Right. Because I have access to it right now.
I'm tasting it. It's in my mouth. And I like it. Mm-hmm. Really nutty. It's not too thick. Some of those like feel rich, not rich like
it
a
has
dessert.
a bit of that richness, but it's not overkill on it.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like a dessert exactly.
I can do 2 of these back to back, probably 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, I'm drinking some great beer.
Yeah.
Well, the 8%, I might have to take a minute.
Well, actually, for the style, this is kind of low.
Yeah, usually a lot of Imperial Russian stouts are like 12, getting up into like wine numbers.
8's almost like, if it's less than that, you can't really call it a Russian Imperial Stout.
You just can't call it Imperial anything.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's good. Wow, I feel like I've had this before and just never really sat and like tasted it and thought about it. That's probably Diamond.
I was thinking the same. I was torn between Platinum and Diamond. I think I was being overly harsh on it because this is my favorite style, and there are so many that I can think of that I prefer.
I do.
But when I think about it, all those beers that I prefer, that are my go-tos, are definitely Mythics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, anything that comes in a box.
Yeah.
It's like a Scotch, right? Scotch comes in the box.
But I think I was tempted to give this Platinum just because, like, there is kind of a sizable gap between my favorite Russian Imperial Stouts.
Yeah, it is quite... Okay.
And our newish system here is that Platinum is still really good.
That's true. Yeah, maybe...
It's not really the default anymore.
You might... Why do you always, like, change my mind about stuff? Okay, so I was thinking the old system. And saying that it's an Imperial Russian Stout really makes me feel like it's going to be one of those amazing beers. And I had one the other day, and I was like... I took a sip, and I had to be like, "What? Holy fuck! Like, this is good."
Yeah.
And then... Catherine, my fiance, had some, and she's like, "What is this?
Yeah.
It's so good."
Yeah.
And so
I know the one you had is really good.
Yeah. So this is good. It isn't that.
Right. And it's a noticeable gap between.
It's a very noticeable gap. So I can see the Platinum.
But I think you're totally right. Under the old system, this was an easy Diamond.
Yeah.
Under the new system, I think it's tough call.
It's a tough call
on that border, and I'll go Platinum. But still a great beer.
I think it's a really good beer. Now I'm just debating whether I'd call those other ones mythic to push this one so far down. No, I think you're right. You did it. You son of a gun.
Got him.
You got me. So we're gonna say this is Platinum for the both of us. How about the Tree Topper?
Yeah. So can you just remind me of the scale again? Silver is like a craft beer.
So bronze is like barely drinkable.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a warm Keystone Light in the summer.
I see.
It's a beer that you crack open that had some weird words in it, and you can't finish it. Right. That's what I think. Because we don't have anything. There are beers that are so low that they're horrible, right?
Silver is like the macro brews.
Silver is like, it could be macro brews or just something that you're like, about. I'll drink it. It's a beer. You know, I drink it. There's a football game. I'm or sorry, there's a Magic Championship.
Yeah, football. What the hell?
Football. I
What
don't
are
know.
you talking about?
I'll drink it. It's
There's
fine.
a league weekend.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Gold is like, this is a nice beer, but it could be better.
Okay.
And then we've done the other one. So, but I know what you're going to say.
For me, Tree Topper is silver.
It's a silver beer. It's our first silver beer. I was going to say the same thing. It definitely is. It's barely fine. It's like it's very forgettable.
Yeah. It's fine, drinkable. I don't think I would seek it out.
I would probably avoid it almost.
Yeah, right. And again, I think
like
style has something to do with it. I'm a big fan of red ales. And
yeah, exactly. And it just doesn't live up to it at all.
What I have in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
like even if I'm going camping where I want as much beer as possible, I'd probably just whatever's cheaper than that. Like it's more expensive than buying like Bud, and I just like get Bud.
Yeah.
Or Moosehead or something. Like I'm gonna go straight to those first. So it's like silver. It's not that it was
it's
bad.
definitely not bronze. Like it's not that
bronze.
I didn't enjoy drinking it.
Yes.
Right.
And bronze
actively don't want another one.
Exactly. That's how I feel about bronze. I think it's like actively bad, but I definitely don't think that was something worth bringing to the podcast.
Right. So I guess silver is that territory where if it's there in your fridge, you'll drink it, but you're not gonna like buy it.
You're not gonna buy it unless you're just trying to play beer pong or something.
Yeah, but even then, this one, it's not the best choice for that because of the price. Like
exactly. Yeah, I'd definitely just buy something else. So yeah, it just kind of is in a weird. It's a new brewery.
Yeah.
This is new Ontario brewery.
Yeah,
so
and it's not really a reflection of the brewery necessarily. We just don't like this particular
We just don't
recipe.
like your beer.
We don't like this one. I haven't tried anything else by them.
We're still going to tag you in our Instagram post. Yeah. Speaking of that, you can reach us at Arena Regulars on Twitter and Instagram.
Or look for us on Arena under the username Arena Regulars Podcast.
Yes. Also, it would be so fantastic if you like the show, please review us on Apple Podcasts, and preferably very drunk.
Yes.
Be very drunk when you do it.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's a good review. If you don't like the show, don't review us. Please just delete us and just never talk to us again.
Or give us some feedback on our Twitter
That's
and Instagram.
true. Yeah, okay.
We would actually like to hear that.
We do like constructive criticism.
Right. And you know what? We're speaking to you, one listener.
All of this was actually just to you, one listener. We are still waiting for you to follow us on Instagram. But with that, have a good night. All right, that's fine.